What is your name?
My name is Joe Lurie, better known as Yussel. You know what Yussel means? Yussel is the Yiddish name for Joseph.
Huh.
Yosef is the Hebrew name for Joseph.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Were you named after anyone?
Yes, I was. I was named after my grandmother's father from my mother's side. Her name was Sarah, and her father was named Joseph. And she used to call me in Yiddish, little tatala, little father. I mean, because I was named after her father. Okay?
Yep. When were you born and where?
I was born in Altoona at what was called the Mercy Hospital, which is now Bon Secours or whatever. And I was born December 23rd, 1923. Oh, wow, way back when.
Tell me about your parents. Where did they come from?
My parents both came from Russia. My father came here when he was 6 years old, and my mother he came to Altoona. My mother came to New York City when she was 9 years old. They came from, the names were Yiddish, and I don't even know where they were, but I'm sorry I didn't look it up. But Kiev, they called it Steppel, a Steppel with the little towns that they came from.
Okay.
Okay.
How did they meet?
How did they meet? Well, through some kind of a cousin who was also related to, my mother's name was Charney, C-H-A-R-N-E-Y, Charney. And the Charneys knew somebody who also knew somebody from the Lurie side. And they decided that my father should come meet my mother in New York City. And they made 1 or 2 trips, and then they became engaged they always told me they were engaged on April Fool's Day. They said 2 fools got engaged. And they were married in 1922 here in Altoona. No, wait a minute. No, they were in New York City. They got married. No, they got married in New York City. And when they came to Altoona, when my grandfather, that's my mother's father, Grandfather Charney, came to Altoona and looked at this place, he said, I'll tell you in how it's said in Yiddish, and then I'll interpret it. He said, "Das ist geworden finster in mein Augen." You verstehst a little Yiddish? Not much. Okay. He said it became like a darkness in my eye because the soot and from the engines. You see, when the trains came here to go west, there was an engine from the front and another engine on the back. But to go up the mountain, they had to put some more engines on. So there would be actually anywhere from 3 to 4 engines. And when they start firing up, the soot would fly. And if you walk downtown Altoona with a white shirt, you got home, it was black.
Wow.
My wife used to hang diapers. You know where Gables is? Well, we have an apartment not far from there, and Hilda used to hang the diapers out on the porch, and when she went to bring them in, she had to shake them out to get the cinders out of them. Okay?
Where were your grandparents from?
Say that again?
Where were your grandparents from?
They all were from Russia, both sides. Both the grandfather Lurie's and the grandfather Charney's, both from Russia. They came here in the early 1900s, about 1905 or shortly after that.
Where did they live?
When they came here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. it would be nice. I'd put you in the car and take you where they used to live. And they lived in, you know where 11th Avenue is, the main drag? We went up the hill going west, and 18th Street, no, this is 18th Street right here. They lived on 20th Street. So they lived 2 blocks up the hill. All the Jewish people, all the poor people I call them, used to live around 18th Street. Okay? Now my mother lived in the Bronx. Okay.
Okay.
In the Bronx in New York City.
What was your father's occupation?
My father worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad for 50 years. He was a brakeman on the railroad at one time, and then he became a machinist and worked on engines. He was what they called a boilermaker. And my mother never worked. I mean, she was a housewife. Okay.
What languages did your parents speak?
When they came to this country, they didn't know any English at all. All they knew was Russian. So before long, they learned English, and then they forgot all about the Russian. They couldn't. My grandparents used to write letters to their relatives. They used to send money back to people in Russia, and they would write in Russian. They could write a letter in Russian.
Did you speak a lot of Yiddish and stuff?
My grandparents in New York City didn't speak English. They lived there for 60, 70 years, but you know, the butcher was Jewish, and the milkman was Jewish, and the store, everybody was Jewish there. So even the neighbors, even the Italians, a lot of Italian people lived there, they spoke Yiddish too. So they just never learned to speak English. So when I went to New York City, I spent all my summers there. When my dad worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad, we got free transportation on any train where the Pennsylvania Railroad went from New York City to Chicago and to St. Louis. That's where the main, right through Altoona. So they used to put me on the train, and I would spend all my 3 months vacation in New York City. So I learned this. They didn't speak any English, and I didn't speak any Yiddish. And so my grandmother said, Joshua, je gaat learn wie te reden Yiddish, and dus me learn wie te reden English. I will teach you how to speak Yiddish, and you will teach me how to speak English. I learned the Yiddish, but she didn't learn much about the English. Okay?
Okay. Did your parents keep a Jewish home?
My parents kept kosher all their years. In Altoona, there used to be 2 kosher butcher shops here in Altoona. So it wasn't difficult as it is today to keep kosher. Mm-hmm. When we were first married, we kept kosher for a short time, but after a while, it became difficult when the butchers left town. They closed up. We never would have anything like pork or anything of that nature, but nevertheless, we didn't keep kosher then after a while.